and that's like, saves backs around the world. So we now bring all the grapes in, weigh them, and then pick them up the bin, these half-ton bins, dump them into the large hopper, and then into the crusher to stemmer. Some people will go through and they'll actually do the hand sorting of the clusters and also hand sorting out of the grapes. We don't do that. It's just the full cluster going in. Okay. I don't think that my dad is afraid of having the herbaceous qualities in his Cabernets. So we're not biased against, the little green pieces and the little stems and the jacks and that kind of stuff. There isn't so much of a fear of that, I guess. In my dad's eyes, he thinks that makes for, a completed wine. That there's all these little nuances, and that's just part of it. So he definitely doesn't go for the overripe. Always wants to stay low alcohol. The highest alcohol we've ever been is 14%. That was our 2004. So we have de-alked our wines before, but there's just that desire not to get, because in my dad's mind, wine is you have it with your meal, and if you have these wines that are really, really high in alcohol, they're cocktail wines. You know what I mean? They're before or after dinner. They're not very easily paired with food. I think any chef would say it's really hard to pair some of these really high alcohol wines because you have to have, because they're hot.
They're overpowering.
They're overpowering and they're hot. And so how do you make that into something that is, the perfect wine and the perfect meal is like that symphony, and everybody is in tune and on key, and it's not, that bright, whoa, wait a second, where did that one come from? So, so he enjoys. Plus, we like to age our wines. We like to make wines that you can age. Yeah. And when you're talking 20, 25 years, alcohol. What does alcohol do over time? It doesn't do anything. So you're still going to have your high alcohol in there. Your tannins are soft. Your fruit's not there. And that's not going to be the beautiful thing in it. So,
do you know what pHs he's harvesting at?
Let me, when we go up to the office, I'll pull out some of the notes on what we have.
Okay. So you put it into tank and hold. Do you crush it a little bit?
So we go through. So it goes through the crusher to stemmer.
Okay.
Stems get ripped out, tossed into one direction. Then everything else gets pumped into the stainless steel tanks.
Okay.
Then what we'll do is we'll let them wait for like a day or two, maybe usually a day, 2 days, and then we will add a yeast.
Okay.
We buy our yeast. We don't do a native yeast fermentation. And then we'll start doing our pump overs. And we do pump overs probably 5 times a day. If they're not gentle or, nice or anything, by any stretch of that imagination, it's fire hose it right back down. And I want to say with these really big tanks, it's probably like 10 minutes a piece on the big ones. Goes through that initial fermentation. We'll draw the wine out into another tank, and then we actually bought a press, a nice big bladder press, and we can scoop out that entire cap, dump it into the press, program it. It'll go through the cycle, and then typically what we'll do is we'll actually take that press juice and put it back in with the free run. And there have been times where sometimes we'll keep it separate. But usually it just goes right back in.
Depending on the vintage.
Yeah, depending on the vintage. And then clean everything out, let that wine settle for a couple days, and then put it into barrel. Okay. We also have had it where we start the secondary fermentation in the large stainless steel tanks. Okay. I know specifically that this last year, my brother, I know that he at least started up one tank that way. And the reason why is because we had our harvest, we started picking grapes middle October, and then it was almost like 2 weeks of a break, and then picked more fruit into November. And so that's a little bit worrisome when you get later. And plus out here, so the dimpled part is a jacket that we can run glycol through to heat up or cool down.
Okay.
If it's warm outside, you know, you get the tank going through fermentation and no worries, you know, you get it down into barrel and it's kind of nice. But if it's warm out here and really cold in the cave and you put that wine into the barrel, it's a little bit slow.
Yeah.
It kind of takes a while to chug back up again. And, you know, you have my dad putting a probe in there trying to warm it up again, and then oops, you left the probe in overnight, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, so sometimes it is nice to get it going again out here. And then we put everything into barrel.
Okay.